Hello guys, and welcome back to another video of me talking about the lore and fun facts of my OCs. As the few of you may have noticed in the first part of this series, I talked about Ben. Today I will be talking about a personal favorite OC of mine, Toby, or Tobias Cormac. Toby had a good life in his childhood. Not much traumatic things happened, if, literally, basically nothing, and life is good for him. He had a really good relationship with his sister, and I'm not talking in an incestuous way, I'm just talking to, best friends kind of way. He and his sister got along really well, right? Toby, really looked up to his sister. Toby and Sophie, his sister's name is Sophie, helped each other out a lot in their problems and, with getting on their feet in, their interests and stuff and, things like that. Toby's life was pretty good. Not much happened in his, primary school life, and really nothing happened in his, high school life either until later years and stuff, mid years and stuff. Toby was, well known in the school for his chill demeanor, his chill personality and stuff, and also the way that he isn't afraid to get, really tough with you if you're not nice to his friends and stuff. Most of the time, Toby was often defending Ben and Lila from harassment and bullying. Like the good friend he is. Things were pretty good for Toby in his life. Everything was going right. He had good friendships. He had a good life until he was around about 19. This is when Toby visits his sister pretty regularly at her fashion shop. I'll briefly talk about Sophie in another video, but basically, there was some news circling around, the place where Sophie's shop is, right? A little bit downtown, there were reports of a gang, group that was going around and raiding stores, harassing customers, and beating up staff and stealing stuff, And Toby liked to check in on his sister, just, out of the kindness of his heart, and, wanted to see how his sister was, and also because he wanted to make sure she was alright, right? Even though Sophie is literally 2 years older than Toby and knows more in self-defense than he did at this time. Unfortunately, though, hold on. Basically, Sophie's got a good part of this, but that doesn't save her from being harassed, right? Unfortunately, one afternoon, when Toby is visiting his sister, the gang members decide to go uptown a bit, and, they go straight into Sophie's fashion shop. And of course, Toby being there, he is assaulted alongside other staff members and customers. Toby's first instinct is to go protect his sister, but he is literally overpowered by a fair few of the gang members. He's, being held down and beaten up by, 3 members, right? Other customers are being beaten up, and staff are being harassed, things are getting stolen, things are getting destroyed, and, unfortunately, despite the fact that Sophie, knew her self-defense and stuff, she was no match for, the 4 guys that were around her. And she was just on the floor. She's getting beaten up to a pulp with bats and pipes, and, it's just getting kicked in the face, and things are getting real bloody, right? Now, unfortunately, Toby, he's facing his sister in this, so he has to watch her get beaten to death while he's also getting his fair share of beatings, right? And it's just, he's tearing him every time he watches her just groan in pain, and, unfortunately, Sophie doesn't come out alive in this situation. She winds up dead, and as one can imagine, this information gets to Toby's family real quick, right? And a massive argument breaks out within the family. Toby is trying to explain what happened, you know, how he couldn't do anything, but his parents are just losing their shit, right? Like, they just lost their daughter, and they're struggling to understand how Toby couldn't defend her, couldn't keep her safe, right? And yeah, it just breaks out on a whole lot of argument, and, you know, Sophie's death takes a massive toll on Toby, right? Because of their close bond, and he just, like, he's done. He needs some space from everyone. He needs space from friends, family, literally everyone. So he gathers up a bit of money after the massive argument he had with his family, and yeah, basically he just rents a small little apartment and decides to crash there for a bit to get some space and to process his sister's death. Unfortunately, this leads to Toby spiraling into some bad habits like drinking and smoking and stuff. Like, he's not in a good shape at the moment. He's struggling. He's struggling to shower. He's struggling to get out of bed, and he's just ruining himself inside. He is fully believing that his sister's death was his fault, and he's just spiraled into a whole thing of what if, you know, what if I could protect her? What if I got her out there before that happened? What if they never came up, you know? Yeah, it's just destroying him mentally, and yeah. Toby gets about a year or two of this bad state of his life, before his friends are like, you know, yeah, fuck this, we need you to get on your feet again, and they basically force him out of his house and, you know, try to get him to be normal again, which for the most part works. Toby stops his drinking. Toby stops most of his bad habits. I mean, he's still drinking a little bit, but he basically restricts himself to only taking a drink when the thoughts get real bad, right? And yeah. But for the most part, he's alright. His connection with his family hasn't necessarily been fixed by this point. But, yeah, at least he's getting outside of the house again, and he's slowly working through his, you know, through the depression and just through the whole situation of his sister's death, right? He's slowly getting back into his old habits of, like, you know, guitar and stuff, which is something that he used to do in school, which is also something that his sister used to uplift him for and, you know, try to get him into, right? Like, he already showed an interest of, you know, wanting to be in the musical industry, but his sister just really helped with encouraging him to do it, right? And he completely stopped when his sister died, right? Because, like, just even looking at a guitar just destroyed him because all he could think about was his sister. I didn't mention this before, and I'm sorry, but yeah. Yeah. Toby is slowly healing up, and, yeah. His life is alright. His life gets better after he meets Willow, but I need to cover Willow and Toby's bond in another video, right? Because I can't cover it here. I don't got a lot of time left for this one. But, yeah. That's pretty much it regards to Toby. I mean, he, Ben, and Lila all met at, like, high school, right? Because they all went to Battlewood College together, which is a made-up high school by me, by the way. Made up. Yeah, made up. I don't think it's a real place. I haven't looked up anything. With that, I don't really know what else to say. And even if I did, it's just, you know, not really worth it to cover it in this video. Because, yeah, I'm running out of time, and it's just easier to cover things in other videos. So, with that, you know, I'm just gonna abruptly end this. You know, thanks for listening, I guess. I really don't know what to say here. I'm gonna make more of these in future, and I think I'm going to cover Lila, otherwise known as Lielie, next. And her life. Either that, or I'm going to cover, Aaron. But yeah. I got literally 30 seconds left, so I'm just going to say, you know, give this a like and, you know, subscribe if you want to. I'm not going to force you to. But yeah, see ya. I really don't know what else to say here. Have a good night, you know, have a good day, have a good life. See ya.